League introduces a new Magic DPS champion, and Dirty Bomb now aims to live out its best life as a truly free game. All that and more, I'm Ethos, and this is Free to Play Weekly. First off in the news this week, SMITE has dropped a brand new god reveal for the legendary King Arthur. Everyone knows the story of King Arthur in Camelot, and despite him not technically being a god, he's pretty much godlike. So it was really only a matter of time until the SMITE team decided on adding him to the lineup. Last week, the team dropped a god reveal for Arthur, wielder of the Excalibur, and offered a refresher on his lore and gave players a look at his abilities. As expected, of course, his abilities do in fact rely heavily on Excalibur, and he seems to utilize a very cool dynamic type of combo system. Arthur will be available to play in the SMITE 5.24 update. For more information, you can check out the patch notes, which are available on the game's site. Now, moving on to something a little bit more worrisome, Blizzard's long Hearthstone survey has apparently asked if fans would be okay without sponsored tournaments. Now, these don't seem too unusual, but in light of recent events, some have begun to question if Hearthstone could be the next Blizzard game to be scaled back. Specifically, the questions, how important are Blizzard-sponsored tournaments to you, and if there were no Blizzard-sponsored tournaments, how likely are you to play Hearthstone in the next 30 days, have players thinking of Heroes of the Storm and the cancellation of its esports program late last year. Could Hearthstone possibly be headed to a similar fate? Now, in general, I think it's fair to say that Hearthstone has been seemingly trending downward. Now, we're not saying it's dying in a panic sense, but like World of Warcraft in 2008 versus World of Warcraft in 2018, it's not quite the overwhelming force it once was. Blizzard is no doubt trying to make sense of it all to figure out what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong across all parts of Hearthstone. And a lot of these questions are devoted to a recent expansion and relatively few to esports initiatives. Now, that said, every Blizzard fan is probably on edge after what happened with Heroes of the Storm, wondering if their favorite game could be next. And after 5 years of release, you'd think that Blizzard would have all the data it needs to determine if Hearthstone's esports is successful and worth continuing. Or maybe the bean counters have come up with some conclusion that they aren't from a financial standpoint, and Blizzard is trying to gauge how bad the outrage would be if they discontinued the program. In any case, the timing of this survey honestly could not be any worse, and I'm sure it's going to cause a little bit of panic within the community.
We'll see you in the Rumble.
MMO Bomb has covered SpatialOS since we first heard that Jagex was working on a new computing platform to develop a free-to-play game in 2017, and this news was then followed by NetEase investing $50 million at the creator Improbable. Currently, it seems that SpatialOS is being used by 5 games in early access or currently in development. Some of the noticeable ones would be Maverick's Proving Ground, which is a huge battle royale game, and the follow-up to Automatron's Deceit. However, all those projects might find themselves facing significant delays following the news that Unity has changed its terms of service to prevent future development of SpatialOS games using its engine. As outlined in a blog post by the Improbable team, the game engine provider Unity recently changed, this was around December the 5th, and then clarified directly to us on January the 9th, their terms of service to specifically disallow services like Improbables to function with their engine. And as a result, Unity has revoked their ability to continue working with that engine, and that this will affect their ability to support games that run on Unity. As an update, Epic Games and Improbable have actually partnered up to create a $25 million fund to, and I quote, to help developers transition to more open engines, services, and ecosystems. Naturally, what you can gather from this is that the company hopes that devs left out in the cold by Unity will transfer to the Unreal Engine. Not only that, but there's been even more news that Improbable has made 2 more blog posts on Thursday as a further reflection on the current event. That took the time to apologize that the event that they instigated has created so much uncertainty, confusion, and pain for so many developers who really don't deserve to go through it. Now, while looking to review its own policies, in a final statement in response to a blog post by Unity clarifying the situation with games using SpatialOS, namely that such games can stay alive but we cannot legally support them, while also asking Unity to address the lack of clarity in the terms of service for Unity and the uneasiness created by their subsequent statements. Again, this is a very complex topic that might go over the heads of a couple people who aren't directly in game development, but it's important for us to talk about topics like this because it can in fact impact games that you might be looking forward to in the future or right now. Okay, so enough with the depressing news, let's talk about something pretty cool. Silas, the Unshackled, is a magic-using damage class armed with chains that he can use to beat his enemies to death. Players of Silas will be able to flog their enemies into submission and keep them at bay using special attacks. And at the right level, you'll be able to steal the powers of your enemies and use them as if they're your own. based off of the ability videos currently available on League of Legends website, Sylas is not going to be a champion other players want sneaking up on them. You'll see exactly what I mean when you check out his profile on the League of Legends website.
Have their power ripped from their grasp.
And finally, we talked about this game for a couple of free-to-play weeklies, and so last week, Splash Damage announced that rather than simply shuttering Dirty Bomb after ending development, it would remove all monetization from the game and leave it as a 1,100% free offering with no microtransactions for players to just truly enjoy. The change will go into effect on January the 15th, at which players will be able to pick up all kinds of goodies without having to spend any real cash. In fact, rads, which is the real money equivalent inside the game, are being completely removed from the game, and those that have any of them left in their account will be given credits in their place. And on top of all this, to make sure players accumulate enough credits to purchase items, the devs are also implementing a change credit earn rate. And finally, for all those who may have missed previous items before this change, they're also adding a back catalog. For the full rundown on Dirty Bomb's changes, you can check out their official site and also download the game on Steam. And now we move on to our question of the week. I mean, Blizzard already asked you guys if you are into Hearthstone, so I thought, why not? I'll just ask you guys in the comments below. For those of you who play Hearthstone, or how about even better than that, for any of you guys who are into esports, what do you guys think about Blizzard seemingly thinking about scaling back some of its esports programs for some of its main franchises? Smart idea? Not a smart idea? Regardless of your opinion, let me know in the comments below. And that's it for this week's Free-to-Play Weekly. Don't forget to check out mmobomb.com for giveaways and the latest news. My name is Ethos, and I'll catch you guys next week. Hope you guys have an awesome day.